You know, some people enjoy composing their own music, chord by chord, and others are happiest when they come across that one perfect song. Work is not a lot different than that. Whether you prefer building your own workflow or using a pre-made template, with Monday.com, you and the team can work in a way that's comfortable for everyone. Tap the banner to go to Monday.com and build your own amazing workflow, or find an awesome template. No judgment.
Welcome to the RuPaul's Drag Race Recap Show for Season 11, Episode 6, titled Draglympics. My name is Joe Betance, and I am joined, as always, by one logistical co-host. From the podcast pod is my co-pilot. Please say to Taylor, the Latte Boy. Hello, Taylor, the Latte Boy.
Hello, Joseph Betance.
How are you today?
Okay.
You know,
doing well.
Okay, I don't have time for that. Taylor, there was so much to talk about in this episode. We got to get to it.
For once, that's actually kind of true. You're right. There was a lot to talk about.
Yeah. All right. Well, okay, then let's just start this thing. Awkward edit here. Okay. This week, Evie and Silky go at it. Love Connie gets physical with the girls. The queens participate in the 69th Draglympics. And Adam Rippon and Travis Wall bring the sweat on the main stage. In the end, Acaria C. Davenport was named the winner of the challenge, while Raja O'Hara and Scarlet Envy faced off in a lip-sync battle for their lives. After all the glitter fell, Scarlet Envy was asked to sashay away. Taylor, named 2 things you liked about the episode and 1 thing you did not.
Okay. Let's see. This was a chock full episode. There was a lot going on in this episode, which you can't necessarily say all the time. One thing that I liked was I liked the way that Travis Wall worked with the girls. I thought that it was much more supportive and much more effective with the girls. And another thing that I liked was, as much as I said last week that I was feeling like Evie was getting the villain edit, I feel like maybe we were seeing a shift with that a little bit this time. So I enjoyed learning more about her and not just seeing her as the kind of the shit star.
Okay.
Something I did not like. The whole judges panel, I was not a fan of.
Really?
This week. I think that the judges panel got it wrong, not only with who won the challenge, but who won the lip sync.
Well, do you think the judges actually, besides RuPaul and the producers, weigh in on who should win the lip sync?
No, but by that I mean I'm not a fan of this Adam Rippon. Okay. I don't get why everybody thinks he's so amazing, but that's, I'm sure, I have a feeling we'll be debating that later because he checks a lot of boxes for you. Okay. On looks alone. And the other one, the figure skater, she seemed kind of didn't really bring anything to the table. I mean, Rue looked amazing. I loved the gold dress. I thought they just got they didn't bring a lot, and then the decisions that were made, whether it is the judges panel or whether it's the producers or whether it's Rue, it was wrong on a bunch of different levels.
Well, let's talk about the judges right now, because I don't see how in this script we would work them in any other way, right?
Okay.
Did you listen to my first response?
Not yet. I was working. And then some things happened after work that you and I talked about privately, so I have not been at.
Oh yeah, everyone needs to know if you're at the $30 level on Patreon. By the way, there's no $30 level on Patreon. Taylor and I had a private conversation before the show. Anyway, okay. 1. On the first response, you would know that I really liked the judges this week, but it's not going where you think it is. I think this Travis Wall was so good. He was so good. Exactly what we need in a choreographer. It was good choreography. He was very patient with the girls. I really appreciated him pulling Evie aside and trying to, but not even just Evie. There was a part, let's actually contrast him with Todrick. Remember the part where like Silky did her version of the death drop and then I was going to have trouble obviously getting up. And he was like, okay, maybe we can make this your solo, and then the other girls come and help you. I mean, he's like, and she was like, no, I can do this. But I feel Todrick would have been like, bitch, you gotta find a way to get up the floor. You know?
Yeah.
And I feel he was like a real choreographer.
That crown is above where you're sitting, so if you want to get it, you better jump up.
Yeah. If you really want this, yeah. Whereas I feel he was like a real choreographer who was like, okay, how do we make this look good? Working with what we have and working with it. And also like being very concerned about Evie and her health and her leg. And because he didn't know, well, the questions he was asking were so leading. I was like, A, obviously the producers talked to him. B, why did Evie lie? Because wouldn't she know the producers talked to him? But that's a whole, we'll talk about that when we get there.
We'll talk about that. I figured we'd talk about that a little bit later.
But I really like Travis Wall. I like the way he choreographed. And I know Raja hated the last guy too. I like the last guy too. I think both choreographers have been really, really good, not sarcastic, acting like real choreographers. Now, Adam Rippon, I agree that he was randomly misplaced, but I don't know if I necessarily blame him. Like, I don't think Adam Rippon was like, hey, I want to come out extra early and go to this choreography session. I feel the producers asked him to be there and he went there, but I have no idea why Adam Rippon was there.
There was no reason for him to be there.
There was no reason, but I don't blame Adam Rippon for that. You know?
Well, no, I mean, they're going to try to utilize them however they can. That might be something where he was there for, you know, you've talked about the fact that they have them tape a podcast usually that same day. Yeah. So maybe he was there for that and figured, can I watch the choreography and then I'll tape the podcast and then do my stuff.
Now, what is it about? Because look, I actually have no strong feelings towards Adam Rippon in any way. He's not, in theory, he's my type. And I think like he looked really good in the episode, but he's a little too WeHo for me in his looks. It's a little
he's very gay face.
Well, I like gay face, but
no, I know, which is why I figured you'd be all about him.
But it just, and I'm not saying he's a mean gay, but I think it triggers something in that he looks like a mean gay, right? And so, but I know why he's popular. I mean, you know, our friend Evan Ayres,
who's a mean gay.
Uh-huh. I'm not saying whether he's funny or not on the show. He's not, but on this Twitter. He knows I've said this to him privately, I've said it in public. Yeah. I feel Evan is so funny on this Twitter. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So funny. So it's the same thing with Adam Rippon. He's really funny on Twitter. And I feel the gays love him because obviously he checks a lot of boxes for them. He's cute and everything like that. And so they love this Adam Rippon, you know, but I think I'm ambivalent towards him. But what is your dislike for him?
I don't know. It just seemed like for all of a sudden he was everywhere. Mm-hmm. And it was sort of one of those where he almost became oversaturated around the Olympics.
Yeah.
And I'm just not a fan. I don't know. But from a looks department, he doesn't hit boxes for me.
Well, no, he's not your type at all.
No, but I mean, he is very accomplished and he's an amazing athlete. I am not. And he's just not somebody. It makes sense for him to have been on the episode. It makes sense that Ru would want him on as a judge.
But what did you think about him on the panel? With the comments he was making. What do you think about the comments he was making on the judges panel?
They were okay. I mean, some of the stuff he was saying was a little bitchy, mm-hmm. but I don't know. Especially when you compare it to Travis. You know, Travis was trying to be very, very positive in the way that he was saying things. Travis and the other figure skaters seemed to be very positive about things they were saying, whereas it felt like Michelle and Adam kind of played the role of the bitchy. It came off very mean gays. Mm-hmm. I guess maybe that is my problem with it when I think about it.
I thought he was good. You know what's so funny is, and speaking of the female guest judge, I thought she was real basic and didn't say anything interesting whatsoever.
No, she didn't. She didn't have anything. She didn't really have anything to say that brought anything to the table.
After Ariel's elimination, the girls walked back into the workroom to remove their drag. Suga was disappointed she didn't perform better. Silky felt she was in the bottom for being too beautiful, and Evie thought Ru was being particularly poignant. Vanessa bragged about being safe, and Evie is quick to call her out. Akuria may have defended Vanessa, and Silky and Vanessa came for Evie's spooky-only drag. Taylor, your thoughts on this moment here at the top of the show?
Well, okay, this felt like another Evie just sort of getting on people for no good goddamn reason, and I did not like it. However, we watched an arc for Evie's storyline over the course of this episode that at one point, after she was kind of talking, when she was putting on makeup prior to the challenge, and she was talking about her condition, Babalu said to me, well, that makes sense why she is the way she is with the other girls. Because she recognizes that, some of these girls that are especially the ones like Plastique and Ariel have another 20 years of drag that they could potentially be doing this. Evie may only have a couple more years. So when people say things, some of the things that they've been saying in previous seasons, when they come back in from elimination, I can see where that would light a fire under Evie, or that would piss them off to where she would say, you don't realize the opportunity that you're just kind of pissing away by saying the things that you're saying. You don't have the level of, we all want it, but you may not have the level of, the clock ticking out like I do. My clock is ticking faster than everybody else's. Yeah. So I appreciated what Evie was saying on a different level this week.
Okay. Well, what's so funny is, I talked about this on the first response. By the way, if you're listening later, this episode, I do a first response that comes out immediately after the West Coast premiere. RuPaul's Drag Race is available on your feed. You probably see it there. And one of the things I talked about was with Evie Oddly, she hasn't bothered me the way she's bothered some people, because I feel that the points she made are valid. What she was telling Vanjie was essentially like, the judges are making these comments. If you want to stick around, try and apply those critiques are giving you, and make you work to what the judges are telling you. And they were all coming down. What's so funny is actually, I think it's the way she delivers it. Because if you think about it, what Akuria said was worse than what Evie said. But she said it in a very sweet voice. Which Akaria's talking to Plastique, and not Plastique, to Evie Oddly. Because Evie's point again is, well, bitch, because Vanessa goes, well, at least I was safe. Evie says, what, you shouldn't be happy being safe. The judges gave you these critiques. You should try and implement those suggestions into your drag. People start coming down on her, and then Akuria jumps in, and this is so shady. She says, but Evie, what if she doesn't know how to sew? What if she can't fix those things? That's what she's saying. Yeah. She goes, she doesn't have the skill set to make those changes, which is a very good point too, because that's the look on Vanessa's face is when they give those critiques is, oh fuck, I just all I fucking brought were these corsets and bodysuits and leotards. Someone on Reddit pointed out they think she overreacted to last year, people saying she covered up her body. So now she's only going to give things that show off her body. And so, and I think all she knows how to do is corset, leotard, glitter on the chest. And I saw a preview of what she's going to wear next week. It seems like it's kind of the same thing.
Well, but that'll make for a moment between her and Michelle then. What did I tell you last week?
I don't know. I don't listen to the show. All right. The next day, Plastique asks Silky what it was like to be in the bottom three, and Evie and Silky go at it one more time before RuPaul walks into the workroom to announce this week's challenges. First, the mini challenge. RuPaul announces this week's mini challenge. It's calisthenics. The girls are joined by internet sensation Love Connie, who leads the girls in 80s-inspired aerobic routines played for laughs. In the end, RuPaul announces Plastique Tiara and Akaria C. Davenport as the winners of the challenge. Before we get into that, let's talk about that right here, because there's a lot to discuss right here. First of all, what did you think about about Silky and Evie going at it yet again, this time against each other, around the work table right before RuPaul does the alert that she's walking in the room? What was your take on that little mini argument there?
It seemed like they were setting it up for those who were going to be the two lip syncing this week. without having seen the rest of the episode, it felt very much like and if it didn't show up this week, I have a feeling it will be in a future week. Between that and the statement that Evie made on when they were on Judge's panel of when she was talking about taking a step back and resting and taking care of my body, and they did a quick shot of Silky kind of like cocking an eyebrow, like that's not what you told the rest of us to do. They're setting this up for a story. That was my take on this.
All right, very good. I don't know if I can't tell, because I'm wondering if it was the story was contained in the episode, in that they're setting up this fight, and then later we saw that they kissed and made up during the challenge because they were on the same team. It could be that it was solved there in the room on that episode.
But that also shows You're right. That is true. I forgot about that. But remembering that, I think that was also handled by Akira and Brooke particularly as very maturely, as far as that, where we're sitting down and going, all right, we've all got a job to do. Is this going to be a problem? Because if this is going to be a problem, we got to figure out something else. You know, it feels like with other times where there has been conflict between girls on a team, that there is those moments of where everybody else is afraid to say anything, and or they like to watch the drama. They like to watch girls pick each other apart. Yeah. But Brooke and Akira, particularly as pageant girls with that desire to really kind of win, that competitive streak, weren't here for it. And they were both pretty much saying, figure this shit out or leave. You know, I think Akira at one point with the confessionals goes, please feel free, tear each other apart, but do it after the challenge. I appreciated that. Yeah. There was a lot of maturity on this episode that I enjoy. I know you like the drama, but I'm more for people helping each other out.
I'm all about the drama, but let me tell you this. I actually am curious as what happened. I'm curious as to what I say that joke every single time. No one ever fucking laughs.
I kind of giggled. I was reading something in the chat room, but I did hear you when you said it.
Okay. I'm curious as to what happened, because if you remember the first time, and I know I said this in the first response, stop yelling at me. If you remember the very first time that Evie ever actually spoke out, it was against Raja, and it was in defense of Silky. She was standing up for Silky. So I want to know what happened in that. And that was in the She-Vangelical episode. What happened between She-Vangelicals and here, where now Silky and Evie are going at it? I think it has to do where Silky is very protective of Vanjie. They're in that Dream Girls group, and with isn't it Akuria, Silky and Vanessa are in Dream Girls, and
which we've heard referenced one time and never since.
Yeah, and so I think that Silky's defending her friend. I don't know what that story is. I don't even know how Silky got involved in this fight.
I sort of disagree with that. I think that Evie is a equal opportunity offender, as far as it doesn't matter if you're close friends or if you're part of her clique. If you do something that she thinks is wrong, because I feel like we've seen this with multiple queens over the course of this season, she just calls them out on it. It doesn't matter if you're her best Judy or not. She's going to call you out on it. So whether or not she and Silky, I don't know that there's something happened where she and Silky aren't close anymore, but it just sort of feels like, well, you did something I don't like, so I'm going to say something.
You know what's so funny? And I'm going to bring this up right now because it relates to Evie oddly. And I'm going to say a few things actually right now. Taylor, you got me off on a rant.
This hamburger marries.
This hamburger, you know what? You shouldn't have brought that up because no, I'm not. Nope. Focus. Focus. You almost started me on a hamburger marries rant because I had a rant to go on. Has to do with Camp Wanakiki. No.
3 words for you.
Yes.
Dustin Lance Black.
Well, what have you seen from him lately? What is he doing?
And she's off. Go ahead.
No. You have to pay $3 a month for that. Okay. So anyway, what I was going to say is, and again, I'm just going to recap what I said on the first look last night. I didn't get a chance to say it today. I really like this episode.
Yeah.
I really like this episode. I don't have a negative. I have things in terms of the actual making of the episode. I have no negative things to say about it. The behavior of some of the contestants I do, but the actual episode, I really enjoyed it from start to finish. I really enjoyed this episode.
It was a strong episode.
It was a strong episode.
Episodes of the season.
It was one of the stronger episodes of the season, and hopefully maybe
we didn't hate it.
Didn't hate it.
We didn't hate it. We hate the show, apparently, but we didn't hate this episode.
Well, that's what I'm going to bring up. Is I almost wonder, a person called me, everyone should know, and told me that he's struggling with the show because he feels Taylor and I hate everything. And I will say, in defense of me, in particular Taylor, but that in that we hate everything about the show and he loves the show, yada yada. And I want this person to know I'm not saying I like it because you said this, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not saying it. And the reason I'm bringing this up is maybe this is why I see Evie Oddly so differently from you, even though we're watching the same show, is I think I compare myself to Evie Oddly in that the way I see it is that I'm calling balls and strikes. And I've used this term on the show before, is that I'm really being as objective as possible. I don't have any, especially this season, actually, it's very easy. I have no favorites this season. None. Okay, I'm not in the bag for anybody this season, so I'm calling it as I see it. On any given Thursday, you can be up or down in my book, and so that's why I think with Evie, I think she's just calling balls and strikes. She comments on this later during her confessional or on Elimination Day or in Untucked somewhere in the show about how her parents always were very honest with her to a fault. And so I think she feels she should be the same way. And I think that's what she's doing. If you see what she's saying I'm not saying she's always like this, but in particular in the conversation with Vanessa, I feel she's trying to be constructive. Now, maybe she does it in the same way that my mom does, where my mom was like, don't you think you should do your laundry today? Or don't you think you should do this? So maybe it's like that. But I think she's saying things, she just, you know what? She nags. Evie's a nagger. What'd you say? What'd you call me? She's
excuse me?
Excuse me? What'd you call me? No, I think Evie nags. And I think that maybe, and so I think there's stuff that goes on with, in other words, I think there's been times that we don't see that the girls, have to deal with her that we don't see. And then so even in this moment when she's coming from a good place, they're already triggered. Like there's actually been evidence, we'll just finish this, because I think Ariel talked about this somewhere when she talked about how good she was getting. There was a weekend between, remember I said this, Ariel confirmed there was a weekend between the rehearsal and the dance thing.
Okay.
And that all the girls got together in the ballroom of the hotel and they worked more with the choreographer that we didn't see. Okay. And they practice. So there's stuff that we don't see, and maybe that's what's going on with Evie. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish your thought, Taylor.
That's okay. Well, if you watched Untucked, which I don't know if you did or not.
I did watch Untucked.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, they kind of talk about this, that at one point, I forget who it is, but I think it's Akira said, you've got a girl that's just almost been eliminated and she's feeling kind of down. She's all in her feelings, and you're coming at, whether you're coming from a good place or not, it feels like you're coming for her. And that might be why some of the responses that she's gotten, where it's been a little more prickly from the things that she has said versus, she has good points. She's not saying it in a way that where she's not just tearing them down and reading them to filth for no good reason. She's trying to better everybody, but the way that she has done it, where it's sort of this scorpion strike that she's done, it's not appreciated by the other girls. And it's usually said in a time that they aren't ready to hear it, or they're in the middle of their own stuff before they can actually comprehend what it is that she's saying.
Yeah, but you know what? Okay, but and maybe this is it. Maybe I'm projecting too much onto Evie because I think I know where she's coming from. Let's take our co-host Evan Ayres. Just the other day, right? I just saw that the first thing that Evan ever did with us was the first episode of All Stars 1. Okay. With me and Taylor. And I was listening to the first few minutes, I'm like, oh, motherfucker, talking to the goddamn microphone, right? And Evan has come a long way, baby. He's in fact, that's Evan. That should be Evan's drag name, Virginia Slim. Okay? I think we've just given Evan his drag name, Virginia Slim. Okay? Uh-huh. And because he's come a long way, baby. And he is so better now, right? So much better. I love being on a show with him, but I had to give him tough love, and I know he gets mad, and maybe I don't do it at the right times. And I've told him this. There have been times when Evan has been very angry with me because I've said things to him off the air, maybe even on the air, that were very tough. But someone has to tell you tough things, And maybe I'm a dick for doing it. But just recently, There, one of my biggest, I guess I should say, accomplishments in my professional career in test prep has been that there was this. I'm going to tell this story as quickly as possible. This 19-year-old kid that I hired over 10 years ago to just give tests. He did like a menial job at my company, right? And I noticed though when he was talking to, he was going to he was like a sophomore in college, right? And I noticed that he and the kids really got along. And I said to him, "Have you ever thought about teaching?" And he was like, "No, I could never be a teacher. I'm not as smart as these kids." Right? And I go, "No, you could do it." And I trained him, right? And there are many stories, and I'll tell him some of the, but throughout his time with me, he was with me for like 3 or 4 years, I was fucking hard on him. I was pushing him, right? And now, well, that he didn't know what he wanted to do. Then he decided afterwards he wanted to be a real teacher. Now he's the head of the math department at a high school in Oakland. Okay. And that, to me, that's the biggest thing that ever came out of my company, that happened. Right.
That's awesome.
And
yeah.
So he and I were having lunch last Sunday, and I mentor a kid right now, and I was really hard on that kid. And his name's Shane, but not the kid. The guy I was just talking about, his name is Shane. When Shane saw me yelling at him on the phone, like, "How could you not know where this restaurant is?" You know, like, I just said, "We're at this restaurant." It probably reminds you of the way you talk to your husband, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I'm not even joking. I told Armando, he was like, "I'm looking for parking." I go, "Okay, once you find parking, we're in a restaurant right there called Heroes." He goes, "Got it." Taylor, he calls me 5 minutes later. He's like, "I parked. Where are you?"
No,
I go, "I just told you we're at a restaurant called Heroes." Anyway, so I hang up, and Shane goes, "It's so weird to be in the other seat." Right?
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is I'm projecting onto Evie. Okay? I understand where Evie's coming from. So what you're saying, a carrier said, well, they were just eliminated. Maybe they don't want to hear that. I see it as, well, you didn't get eliminated. And now I'm going to be a friend. I'm going to try and help you.
Yeah, I had a situation this morning without getting into any sort of specifics.
Give me their names and what they look like and where they live.
Yeah, no, totally. I had a guy that called me yesterday and said that he was going to have to leave his session a little early because of something else that he needed to do. Mm-hmm. And this is one of these that I said, sure, but, because I'd rather have him come in for 40 minutes than not come in at all. Mm-hmm. And I got thinking about it all day. And while I was watching the show last night, I was thinking about this client. And it made me mad. So this poor guy walks into the session today, and and normally we have a really good rapport. We're kind of laughing about things. He's a younger guy. And I am very much of where I'm just kind of like, he tells me these crazy stories and I pretend to act shocked, and he thinks it's the funniest thing and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And I started in on him. And at first he thought I was kidding. Mm-hmm. And then the more I kind of talked at him, mm-hmm. like saying some not nice things to him, but it was mm-hmm. stuff that I felt like he needed to hear. Mm-hmm. Like you kind of watch the color drain out of his face. And I felt like I was doing a tire where when my mother yelled at me, it's because she loved me. Yeah. And I said to him, I get that you're mad at me right now for saying these things. I am saying these things because I care about you. Mm-hmm. And I want you to be okay. So when you call me with this whole, "Hey girl, I can't come in because fill in the blank," and then you're leaving me with, then now I've got all night to sit and think about this. And we'll think about the pattern that you created, think about all the stuff that's going on. Mm-hmm. And I get that it's not my therapy session, but it's not fair for you to hit me with that and then think that everything's going to be okay. So I ended the session a couple of minutes earlier than expected and just said, "Are we good?" Because I also don't want this guy to now come back where he feels like he can't talk to me anymore. He's like, "Oh no," he goes, I needed to hear that." Mm-hmm. He goes, "I appreciate you saying that." I said, "Okay." And I said to him, "I don't love you because you're my client, but I'm very, very fond of you. And I want to make sure that you're okay." So he was like, "Well, I appreciate you looking out for me," and all that kind of stuff, which means he'll never come back to treat him, but that's neither here nor there. But I also get that I could have handled that a different way. I could have handled that in a way where I could have said, "Well, now let's talk about this and mm-hmm. let's do this and let's do that." That wouldn't have gotten through to him. He needed somebody kind of up in his proverbial face going, "What are you thinking?"
Mm-hmm. I don't want this to devolve into me and you talking about how rad we are, but I know I am, but I can empathize completely, and so the point. But then I'm defending Evie. How are you not then on my side with Evie?
I think it's just a question of picking your. It's not that I'm not with Evie. I think it's just Evie. What Evie says has worth, and what Evie says is valid. I think Evie's issue is timing. Mm-hmm. You know, because they talk about that in Untucked. If you had taken me aside and had this conversation, sister to sister, I would have responded to it I would have probably responded to it in a more positive way. Mm-hmm. So I think that the issue is that Evie, because as she said, of the way that she was raised, she kind of. It's that, okay, well, I don't see something I like. And rather than kind of take a step back and figure what's the best way this person's going to hear me, I'm going to just kind of say it. It's sort of a shotgun approach, and it's not necessarily always received well. The other person's going to get hit with a shotgun blast, but that doesn't mean that they're going to like it, if that makes sense.
No, makes sense. All right, well, let's actually move on. I love how we're still in the first couple minutes of the show. All right. In fact, I think at this point, we have. All right. Now, first up, RuPaul announces this week's we talked about this, right? We did this part of the script, but I want to ask, Love Connie, the mini challenge. What were your thoughts?
It was fun. It reminded me of when they had them all dressed up like old ladies, and Ru asked Jasmine, "Where did you get a loaf of bread?" Mm-hmm. It was very much of that, where it was comical drag, and it was just sort of silly, doing funny, kind of crazy, goofy things. Mm-hmm. It was Love Connie is somebody that I know from Alaska's "This Is My Hair" video. Okay, and I was intrigued enough when she was in the video to kind of do some research on her as far as some of the stuff that she's done in the LA scene, and I followed her for like a hot minute on Instagram, and then I decided not to anymore. But
why?
Because a lot of the drag queens, honestly, I don't follow, because it feels like a lot of it is just sort of ads for their upcoming gigs. Mm-hmm. And I don't need to know that you're going to be in some bar in Omaha. Mm-hmm. That's not something when I'm scrolling through my Instagram feed, I don't necessarily need to see that. Yeah. So I just kind of don't. I mean, I wasn't offended by anything she did in there or anything, but you looked at her for a little bit and went, okay. So when she said Love Connie, I knew who that was. Oh, and the shade she threw at Scarlett was something about, I feel more masculine next to that beard. Yeah. Or I feel more feminine next to that beard. That was funny. And she was just silly, and she's a clown. I appreciate a good clown.
I had never heard of her before. I was very intrigued. I haven't followed her yet on social media, but if she's in LA, see, this is where it kind of works. I would go see her. I did kind of look up her stuff and saw that she performs at this, there's a small little club. Okay. There's a Mexican restaurant in a very gay part of town, and it's owned by one of the dancers in the movie West Side Story. Okay. And it's a Mexican restaurant. It's horrible Mexican food, right? But it's packed with gay guys, old gay men, right? And they have a tiny little black box theater underneath. And it's tiny. It probably seats, maybe 40 people at the most. Okay. Right. And this is where I see one of my favorite drag queens there. Dina Martina, who, if you ever have a chance to see her, go see her. Hilarious.
Oh, I've heard of her. Yeah. She does things with interviews on the red carpet.
She does?
Doesn't she? Is that who I'm thinking of?
No. She wouldn't do that. Anyway, I'll send you some Dina Martina stuff later. Oh, you're thinking about Damiana Garcia.
Okay.
Yeah, no. Dina Martina is super funny. Okay. And then, but Lady Bunny performs there. That's where they do the Golden Girls in drag with Alaska. And this is also, I guess, Love Connie performs there. I saw that. So I think I want to start going to more shows at this place. But, I didn't know who she was. And then so I'm more intrigued by her, and I might go see her perform. I thought the mini challenge was great. I thought it was fantastic. I was amused. It was nothing. It was frivolous. There wasn't much to it, but it was like junk food. It was, and to me, that's what the mini challenge should be. The mini challenge should be junk food. I thought Love Connie had a really good fun with it. And people are always saying she should have more drag queens on there. I know she doesn't want him on the judges panel, but this is a good way to incorporate. That's us. This is a way for her to incorporate more drag queens into the show. Is have Coco Peru come in during the mini challenge. Have Left Connie. Have Jackie Beat. Have, Lady Bunny. Have these people come in during a mini challenge, and then it works them in. You get to see these legends. They get to be on the show, and it was great. I was a big fan. Any other questions here?
No.
All right, moving on.
Everything you're saying.
On the Maxi Challenge, RuPaul announced it's the Draglympics. The girls will be performing in 3 categories: fanography, voguing, and shablam. As the winners of the mini challenge, Akaria and Plastique chose the 2 teams, and the 2 teams were broken down as follows. Team Akaria, which was from Turkmenistan, was Brooklyn Heights, Silky Nutmeg Ganache, Evie Oddly, and Sugar Cane, while Team Plastique, which was from Glamazonia, was Raja O'Hara, Vanessa Vanjie Mateo, Nina West, and Scarlet Envy. Vanessa, by the way, is worried that her team doesn't have the skills necessary to do well in the challenge. Before we get into each team, Taylor, did you have any thoughts about just the concept of the Maxi Challenge or everything involved with that?
I like that it was something different. It was kind of a choreography heavy, obviously, but it wasn't choreography heavy with like the stupid musicals. It wasn't where they had to learn lip syncing or the space that they had to work with was huge. So I liked that it kind of involved, it was definitely a little bit more physical than I think some of the other things that they've had to do. It was fun. It was a fun challenge.
All right. Very good. Now, the way I'm going to do it, I've done this in the past, is to make it easier to recap. I've broken the whole episode down into teams. Okay. And so the first team we're going to talk about is Team Glamazonia. Okay. And in the workroom, Raja remembers her last embarrassing turn on a dance challenge, and Scarlett is nervous because she can't dance. Scarlett wonders if she should go all out to make up for that, but she's advised, I think by Brooke, right? That wouldn't... No, it couldn't be Brooke. Brooke was on the winning team, wasn't she? Anyway, Scarlett's advised Nina West. Nina West advised Scarlett that wouldn't be a good idea. During their choreography session with Travis Wall and Adam Rippon, Raja O'Hara and Vanessa Vanjie Mateo impressed Travis with their abilities. The team struggles with the fanography, and in particular, Scarlet Envy seems to be having the most trouble with Nina West. Thanking God Scarlett is there to take the heat off of her. Now later, in the actual 69th Draglympics, they do all their choreography to Serve the Children by DJ Shy Boy. Taylor, let's talk it all about right here. The workroom, the choreography, and their final performance. Your thoughts on Team Glamazonia?
The songs were not great.
No, how were they any different from what I do on here?
No, they really aren't. DJ Shy Boy has done the first couple of seasons. There are songs that are available on iTunes that just take that season, catchphrases from that season that are good workout songs where they just kind of have, girl, look how orange your face is and all that kind of thing. This sort of felt like a greatest hits, but then it was done with classical music, but the weird beat behind it and not good. As we talked about, I thought Travis was great. And I hope that Travis gets a lot of attention for this as far as he could be somebody that could replace Todrick. I would even be okay with him, and I keep wanting to say Yara Sofia, but I know that's not it. Giannis.
Oh, yeah, that guy was good too.
Yeah. So, I mean, because both of them have different styles, but both of them are much more positive, and they seemed more willing to work with and recognize the limitations and the experience of each of the girls. So it just was so nice to see that compared to the Todrick shit of just, well, girl, only, if you want the crown, you're going to have to work on this and that kind of thing. Trying to think about the whole Scarlett Nina thing. I think Nina gave really good. If you're not going to do this well, don't do it, because you're going to stand out like a sore thumb. Even watching it, Scarlett fell at one point when she was running. She kind of fell and hit the ground for a second. And I'm glad that they didn't focus on that. That could have very easily been a scene where they slowed things down for a second, and then they have like Vanjie going, "Oh shit, girl," or something like that. The fact that it just kind of happened in the background, I thought was refreshing for the show.
Ariel wishes the same thing.
Yeah, I bet Ariel went to well, at that point, the camera was actually on Ariel. Whereas this happened in the background. So maybe that's why. Maybe they just didn't have a camera on her at that time. This is the team that Vanjie was on, right?
Correct. It sure is, Taylor.
Are we talking about the Vanjie crying, or is that coming?
That's coming up on Elimination Day.
Okay. It was. I thought that actually this team went second. I thought this team was better than the first team.
Oh, I don't agree. But I will say, I'll say this, and I think they should be very proud of themselves. They had in other words, Carrie is right. She chose very well for her team, and she chose sort of the strongest dancers and strongest performers. And this team had, a handicap going in. Okay. But I think that they held their own up against a much stronger team.
Yeah.
So they shouldn't be embarrassed.
Okay. Did watching all of them play with the fans make you want a fan?
I have one.
Do you really?
Yeah, hold on. Well, I'll get it at the break.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, it's so funny. I was gonna actually use it during this time. Okay. Anything else to say about Team Glamazonia?
No.
All right. Very good.
Enough.
All right, let's move on to Team Tukpanistan. Now, by the way, on the screen it was just spelled Tukpanistan, but then later RuPaul says Tukpantistan, which makes more sense.
Yeah.
And the workroom, Brooke is worried about but then remember there was that woman, Brooke Burke. Remember her? Anyway, I could see her
she's still around. I don't think she's dead.
But I could see her being one of the people that paid for her kids to go to college. I know she didn't, but I could see
yeah.
It.
Yeah. Nancy O'Dell, all of those.
Oh, yeah. Or this Deborah Norville. I could see her have done that.
Is Deborah Norville? Oh, no. Okay. Deborah Norville. She's on the Inside Edition or?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Brooke is worried about the drama between Evie Oddly and Silky Ganache, but the two warring queens agree to put their personal feelings aside for the sake of the competition. Brooke reveals she knows ballet, Silky does baton work, and Evie can bend herself into pretzel-like contortions. Meanwhile, Brooke is nervous about doing any kind of shablam, and Akaria admits that she's not a dancer, but she can be a leader. During the choreography session, Akaria struggles with the phonography. Brooke impresses Adam Rippon. Silky tries her best with the shablam, but struggles with the moves, and Evie Oddly's joints are coming apart, and she lies to Travis Wall about her condition. At the 69th annual Draglympics, Shade is the song they performed to by DJ Shyboy. Taylor, your thoughts on everything Tukpantistan?
I appreciated Silky more in this episode than I have probably all season.
Okay.
Because she was willing to give it 100% with the hitting the ground. And at one point when, as you brought up before, Travis said, well, we'll work it around. She's like, no, she was saying, I don't want this to be where everybody's got to help the big girl up. I'll figure out how to do it. Yeah. Was it pretty on the finals? No, but she committed, and I appreciate that. Evie lying. I get it, but I don't get it. I mean, it's kind of similar to Silky saying, I don't want any help. So maybe seeing that, particularly watching Silky say that, for her to say, yeah, I kind of hurt my leg, or I'm not really comfortable today. I can see that to some degree, but I also feel like you're putting yourself. My concern was that she was going to really, really hurt herself. Like that's what they were setting that up for. That she really kind of became a rag doll and sort of hit the ground during the challenge. You could tell when she did that kind of backflip and landed on her ankle wrong that was not good.
But it's so funny, before we got into the thick of this episode, and I had seen the first look earlier in the week, I was already working on a meme for the Instagram account where I was going to have a picture of Evie from a couple episodes saying like, I have a disease, my joints are all messed up. And then the next picture of her doing that weird backflip she did during the calisthenics. Yeah. But then, because the show touched on it and she addressed it, it made it not funny anymore. But I can see that it's like she is making these choices, and it probably hurts. And she had a cane the next day. And I kind of feel there was some shade at Eureka, like, I can go on. or maybe they're worried about it. Here's the deal: is RuPaul's Drag Race needs to stop doing athletic competitions during their show.
Well, and that kind of speaks to what it feels like Drag Race has become, in that if you aren't able to do all of these different things, then you're almost not expected to apply to be on the show. Mm-hmm. And I think that, as Evie said, I've applied for the last however many years since I've been doing drag, because I know that I have a limited amount of time. And I think that she is looking at this as, this is my one chance to do this. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to take a chance of not being able to do something. So I'm going to give it my all, even if it means I'm going to hurt myself. Yeah. Even if it means that I'm going to potentially really kind of damage my body. I feel like Evie, I could see, and I don't know anything about rumors or anything like that, I could see Evie getting the Eureka Pass for season 12 if her foot doesn't heal properly, like in the next episode or two. I could see it being a situation in which Ru says, I'm going to excuse you from, but you can come back for season 12.
I see. All right. You're looking at my face to see any kind of...
No, I'm not looking at your face. I'm actually looking at my window. It just looks like I'm looking at your face because of the camera. But I don't know. I mean, because I'm starting to actually kind of root for Evie more than I was before. Mm-hmm.
You can get all these answers on patreon.com on our show, The Rumor Mill.
I know, but I'm not listening to any of them until the end of the season.
All right, very good.
I look at it this way also, because I know that makes you mad. I know that makes you mad that I'm listening. So calm down.
Okay.
What I figure is when the season is over, I will get, it's almost like I get a bonus season of episodes to listen to, because I will have the same number of episodes. Actually, I think I have the last two for All Stars to listen to as well. Oh, wow. Because you guys were starting to talk about rumors for season. But
I'm going to tell you, and you can tell the difference between All Stars and this one. And this is Evan would agree here. Bringing on Jorge and Jamila, one of the best decisions I ever made at Afterthought Media. It's like a little morning show.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to even enjoy it even more.
Oh, yeah. You're going to really enjoy it. All right. It's Elimination Day, and the girls are getting ready for the competition. Silky, Akuria, and Raja twerk. Vanessa worries that she's letting down RuPaul and gets emotional. Meanwhile, her girlfriend is across the room bragging about how she was in an all-male ballet troupe that performed in front of Karl Lagerfeld. Later, Evie reveals her struggles and fears about her degenerative illness. Taylor, your thoughts here on Elimination Day? I think you have a lot to say here.
Now,
yes,
we've strongly established that Joe Betance enjoys watching a twink cry.
Yeah. Love it. Yeah. Well, I don't know if I love it. I'm not going to say I love it. Here's what I know you're going to a point, but I want to make it clear. Not that I don't like watching them cry. They can get whatever they want from me if they cry.
Right.
Yeah.
So Vanjie tearing up was very much it made me love Vanjie a little bit more. And we've also established Vanjie with no makeup on. I'm here for it.
Also, what we learn here in this crying, that she's putting on a fake voice.
Oh, yeah, that's where I was going.
Yeah.
At one point, when Vanjie's voice goes down 2 octaves in the confessional, and she said that, my bathing suit area felt different.
Oh, really?
Like, oh, so that's not the way you talk. Okay.
I wonder why you're wearing a bathing suit while you're watching the show.
It was very much of where I was just like, that's not. So she talked. Oh, I love it. I love the deep voice. So I get why she's playing a role, she's playing a character, but that moment of vulnerability, this seems to be like that has been a lot of what this episode was. This episode was a lot about vulnerability for multiple queens that we haven't necessarily seen. And I think that's why, from a clinical perspective, I think that's why I liked that, because that's the piece that I like in treatment is when you finally break down those defenses and you get them to expose and talk about the issues that are really bothering them. So in that regards, that was good to see that. That was a dimension of Vanjie that we may not see the rest of the season, because she's definitely the unofficial narrator of the season. So, and she likes her quips and she likes her funny things. So to see that happen was a great little gem of a moment.
It's one of these things where I feel that this show I may be speaking too early. Let's see what happened over the next few episodes. But it did seem like this show was barreling towards banality. And it may be maybe this episode might be the turning point. Maybe as we get rid of the filler queens, we get to focus more on the queens who have more to say and something more interesting going on, and maybe we'll learn more about them, thus making us more invested in the season. I'm not sure yet. It was a good episode, but I don't want to claim it to be a great season or a good season. Right now, I'm still on the fence, but this episode brighten things up. This elimination. And look, the elimination day did seem kind of forced at moments because all of a sudden, Plastique just says, all out of nowhere, Brooke, how did you start out? I'm like, what? Why would you just randomly say that? Out of nowhere.
But we've talked about those mirror moments. You can tell the difference between what feels like a natural mirror moment versus a producer under the table saying, "Now ask Brooklyn about this." And I think that people are getting a little bit more savvy to that.
Well, the Vanessa moment seemed real.
Oh no, that I definitely feel is real. Mm-hmm. But so Brooklyn, how did you get into drag?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what did you think about the Evie moment where she was revealing that, she only has a few years left and she knows what her future brings about being in a wheelchair?
It goes back to vulnerability and it goes back to recognizing that was the moment, like I said, that my husband said, so that's why she's like that, where you can kind of see, it sort of is like when you have a situation in which you have and it's called transference in clinical terms, where you have a client that does something or represents something in your life. Actually, that's countertransference. So you kind of respond to them the way that you would the person that they represent, and vice versa. It's transference if a client's doing it to a clinician. It's countertransference if it goes back the other way. And, I've had people in my life who talk about their fathers. And they talk about how angry they are with their fathers and how they just, oh my God, I wish my father would just blah, 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 and that kind of stuff. And as somebody who doesn't have his dad anymore, I can feel myself getting mad. And there's times that I will say things that might be a little more stinging about that.
Well, my dad's dead. Well, my dad's dead.
Not quite that, but I have said things like that. Like, wow. Well, maybe you'll be lucky one day and he'll be dead like mine. Like, you say shit like that. That's somebody that I have to feel very, very close to in order to say something like that. Kind of, it's my way of saying shut the fuck up. So, and I feel like that may be sort of what we're seeing when people are kind of saying, well, I'll just lip sync my way to the crown. What you're doing is you're saying, I'm going to do the bare minimum and then just have this big thing at the end of each episode of each challenge, thinking that that's going to be enough. Whereas Evie is literally fighting for her physical well-being on top of this. And to hear something like that, you can see where it would piss her off. And learning more about this disease and learning more about the degenerative nature of this disease, and that she may only have like 10 years left, that she said she met somebody who's in a wheelchair that's only 10 years older than her. That would be terrifying, I think, to just about anybody, knowing that your clock is ticking in such a way.
You brought up something that's a very good point, but you brought up something that is very interesting. What the fuck did you say? I should have written it down. How to do with the show. What were you saying right now about Evie Oddly?
What was I saying about Evie? That it makes sense that Evie maybe responds the way she does because of some feelings of people not recognizing what the chances that they have, or sort of in her mind, maybe making statements that sound like they're going to phone something in. And she doesn't have that time. She doesn't have that luxury. She knows that her clock is kicking down whilst her body is degenerating.
I know what I was going to say. It had nothing to do with that. Okay. So I'm going to start like I said, like you didn't say. Taylor, this has nothing to do with what you're saying, but it brings something up though that I want to comment on. I just realized what we're seeing here now is the after effect of the lip sync for the crown, where you have these girls like Raja and other girls who are like, I just have to make it through the taped episodes. I just have to get to the final four. And if I get the final four, I have an equal shot to win this entire thing. I just have to get to the part where I'm lip syncing for the crown. And so they actually think you can lip sync all your way to the crown. It might be part of the show. It's part of the show's fault if they keep doing that.
Well, we just got in the chat room. It's while you were saying that, All Berthy said it's funny because Raja is actually lip syncing her way to the top somehow. And I don't think that's going to last much longer. I have a feeling that at this point, okay, well, you just made a face. So
if you enjoy this show, you may want to think about supporting it to help us keep the lights on. How can you do this? Support us over at patreon.com. There, if you sign up at the $3 Eat It level, you receive a brand new podcast in your feed not every single day, but 6 out of 7 days of the week. On top of that, you get access to live recordings and bonus content. For instance, this episode you're listening to now is actually about 20 minutes longer for our Patreon supporters. Not only that, they get the episode commercial free. And so what are you waiting for? Head on over to patreon.com/dragracerecap and sign up at the $3 level to get all this and more. That's patreon.com/dragracerecap. Oh, Taylor, there's one more thing before we go to the break. We have this show. Now, it's been on Patreon, but I've released it into the wild called The Pit Crew. The Pit Crew is with myself, and I have 2 straight cousins who love sports, Alex and Philip. And sometimes my cousin Natalie, who's a designer for Mattel, she joins us. But what we do is what's so funny?
You said I have a cousin who's a designer. I thought you could say who's a disaster. I was going to be like, Joe. If
I even say her name wrong, I get in trouble. Anyway.
She's awesome.
She is awesome. She's really good at it. She joins the show when she can. But the point is, we break down RuPaul's Drag Race only by the numbers. Here's what's so interesting, Taylor, is on the Pit Crew, they've never seen any drama. They don't know anything about these girls. They literally watch the runways and any kind of relevant challenge. Like, for instance, today we'll watch Draglympics only the Draglympics part, and then the looks. And they give it a score, and they tell you who it is, and they treat it and they argue about it just like sports. If you listen to the most recent episode, which was about last week's show, I recorded them watching Ariel fall, and it's the way straight guys would react to watching Ariel fall. So The Pit Crew is this new show we have. It's on iTunes, it's on Spotify, it's everywhere you get your podcasts. Okay, it's called The Pit Crew. You can listen to all the old episodes. They're only like half an hour long. It's very funny. It's very good. Go check it out. And with that, we'll be back right after this.
This is Amy Poehler. My new movie, Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2, is coming to theaters June 14th, and it's making me feel joy and sadness and anger, definitely some disgust, and I think a little fear. But I'm also feeling these new emotions like anxiety, embarrassment, envy, and ennui.
It's what you call the boredom.
Okay, that one was weird. It's going to be the feel everything movie of the summer. Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2, rated PG, parental guidance suggested. Only in theaters June 14th. Get tickets now.
All right, and we're back. And guess what, Taylor? Since we're back, you know what it is. You know what this means.
It's time for the Lukes.
It's time for the Lukes.
How are we doing this? Because this is, again, it's one where it's all of them were up and half of them went down. Mm-hmm. So are we just going over the looks that we like? Or are we going over everybody's looks real fast with a tutor and boot? How do you want to do this?
Well, I'll tell you. I have it right here. Once again, I did scores.
Okay.
I mean, if you can really quickly give the scores.
Okay, so on a 0 to 10?
Yeah, I could do that.
All right, so
I can tell you. I know who's in what order. I have it because this is written in order.
Okay, so you say the name, and I'll tell you what my score is.
All right, and then you know what? While I talk about it, that gives you time to look at it.
Okay, there's not as many of them as there was before, so I think I could actually. I have a feeling I could remember who everybody is.
All right,
but I've got the Reddit page up for reference if I need it.
All right, the first one up is Akuria Chanel Davenport. And when she walked down the runway, people were saying RuPaul because she looked like RuPaul. And how would you describe what she was wearing, Taylor?
Well, it was definitely a gold gown with lots of feathers at the bottom, and she had big hair.
Yeah.
Not my favorite look. I would give this look a 5. It was kind of middle of the road.
I like the dress. I gave it a 6.
Okay. All right. Who's next?
Brooklyn Heights.
Brooklyn Heights came out very Gloria Swanson, very
Yes.
Norma Desmond.
Yes.
I liked the idea. The fabric looked cheap to me, but I liked the idea of it. She's got to do something. I get that she had on a turban, but the whole short hair that she's done like every episode, for the most part, I want to see something different in the hair. But I would give this look a 6.5.
Okay, let me ask you a question, because this is the first time I want to bring this up. The name of the category is All That Glitters.
Yeah.
Okay? But very few actually glittered, and they all wore gold. So what was the challenge?
All That Glitters isn't gold?
Yeah, but then they shouldn't have worn gold. They should have worn, like, All That Glitters is not gold is the phrase.
Well, but maybe that was that was just something that was an easy reference to the fact that everybody was going to be wearing gold.
All right, so here's my question.
Because it was the Olympic or the Draglympic, similar to what they did with the orange.
I didn't even make that fucking connection. No. I didn't even make that connection. All right. So do you feel she met the challenge?
Yeah,
that affects my score. All right, so I guess it's really the theme is gold. I'm going to change it then. I had it to a 7 because she didn't do it. 8. I love this look. I was a big fan. She gets an 8 from me. All right, next up is Silky Nutmeg Ganache in a pantsuit that had this cross on it. Your thoughts?
Like a 1.
Oh,
it was horrible.
This.
I hated this look. I'm not a fan of pantsuits. The weird crucifix on the front of it was very like, whoa, when she came out with that. She seems to always have the same hair. I get that we're a big girl, but there's something about some of the pants that she wears that's super ill-fitting, and it accentuates the wrong parts. So it was not a good look at all. So 1. Least favorite look of the night.
She likes to accentuate that flap of her stomach over her crotch area.
Yeah.
You know that fucking thing smells like milk.
Okay. You're probably right.
What would it cost for you to like put your nose in there and just run it like a line of Coke, sniff what it smells like under there?
Sniff Coke off her fupa?
No. But sniff this, because you know it's sweaty and smelly under there.
Am I allowed to vomit afterwards?
You have to wait 5 seconds.
So if I'm snorting a lot of Coke, that's really only like that's like one big strong sniff.
Exactly.
Oh, I $10,000.
Oh, okay, that's cheap. That's cheap, actually. All right.
How much would you do it for?
Oh, I would do it for like $100. Yeah, just do a sniff.
I'm smell for me is a thing, so it would be a lot for me to have to sniff under there.
$100? You know what I could do with $100?
Do you know what I could do with $10,000?
Pay off your air conditioner.
Yeah, that's an air conditioning, and then I've got cool breezes and essential oils I can put in there to mask the smell that wakes me up in a cold sweat screaming some nights.
You can put essential oils in an air conditioner?
No, I have an essential oil diffuser that I just bought that it makes the house smell nice sometimes. So it doesn't work as strongly as I'd like. No, it doesn't work as well as I thought it would. I think I've got it in the wrong room. I have it in the bedroom, but not in there very often. But I assumed that it would kind of permeate through the rest of the house, and it doesn't. To the point of where I put way too much like wild orange oil in there at one point, and it just made the room smell like somebody was eating oranges, but the rest of the house didn't smell.
Oh, all right,
thank you.
You know what? Kind of like when you're on Soaring Over California.
Yes, that's what it smells like. When you go over the orange groves.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we have Sugar Cane as an Aztec goddess warrior. Your thoughts there, Taylor?
Sugar Cane. I liked this look because it's very superhero-esque. I'd give this. This was probably. I'd give this look a strong 7.
That's what I gave it.
Yeah,
that's what I gave it. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I skipped over Evie Oddly. Evie Oddly, what were your thoughts on Evie Oddly?
I didn't like Evie. Evie Oddly's look was scary.
Yeah.
It was creepy looking. And I get that that's her thing. The cane didn't help. I get that she needed the cane. But even with like where she, like, look, her teeth were gold, but the lips were black and the weird things over the ears. And I just like a 2. I did not like
I gave
the
it
look
a
at all.
4. I gave it a 4, yeah.
Okay.
Plastique Tiara, she was like an angel. Was it?
I loved this look.
Oh, you did?
I thought she looked so pretty with this. I loved the wings. I loved the wings on the helmet. I loved everything about it. I would give this look a 9.
Really?
No, 8. An 8.
I probably would have given it around the same score. I did love it, but to me, it was like, we've seen this fucking shit from her already before. Same fucking silhouette, except for the wings. 7. She got a 7 for me. Next up, Raja O'Hara in a gold cat suit with a veil. Your thoughts here?
Yeah, kind of like a golden Eartha Kitt, sort of like Batman kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It was very basic. It felt very basic to me. Yeah. I wasn't necessarily a fan. It was well executed, though. It looked well put together. So I'll give it a 5.
That's exactly what I gave it.
Okay, 5. All right.
Okay, it was basic. Basic gets 5 for me.
Okay.
Vanessa Vanjie Mateo in a corset with a leotard and a glitter chest, and then something on her, like a fascinator on her head of some kind.
The things that bothered me about this look were, one, it's weird that she's doing a bunny when we just saw a bunny last week. Mm-hmm. And the joke is that Plastique and Vanjie kind of switched their outfits for this week, because last week was when Vanjie was the angel. Mm-hmm. The thing that bothered me was that the leggings didn't match the rest of her body, because she was gold from the waist up, but then she had on nude colored leggings. And the way that the makeup kind of wrapped around her chin line, it almost looked like a beard. It looked almost like a 5 o'clock shadow. Mm-hmm. It was it just looked cheap. It looked like a really cheaply put together outfit. So I'm going to give this look a 4.
But I gave it a 5. To me, it was just a standard issue Vanessa Vanjie Mateo. Like, she did it well, but like, yeah. All right,
I liked her hair, though. I thought her hair looked great because it was something different. Very 70s kind of Sharon Tate sort of big blowout. I did like her hair.
All right, very good. The penultimate one, we have Nina West as a Viking. Your thoughts here?
Probably my least favorite Nina West look all season.
Oh, really?
I love the concept is great. The execution was horrible on this. And she looked like a man. She looked like a man coming out. The makeup and the hair was it was too costumey. It looked so Party City, with weird Pier 1 bowls over her chest plate.
Yeah.
I love Nina. I really love Nina. I've got a huge crush on Nina as a boy. But this was not a strong look for me. And I could have seen where this could have put her, had she not performed as well as she did in the actual challenge. I could see where this would have put her in the bottom.
All right, very good. And then what about, I gave her a 5, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I would say 3.
Oh,
honestly.
Really?
Yeah, I really didn't like it. It didn't even look like a good Party City costume.
Oh, I see. All right. And finally, we have Scarlet Envy. She came in a long gold dress, bringing Deborah Messing realness. Taylor, your thoughts on Scarlet Envy?
Very basic dress. I liked the pantsuit underneath with the bell bottoms, but you didn't really see that until the lip sync. But the dress itself, a 5, just kind of middle of the road.
I gave it a 7.
Okay.
I liked it. Okay. And then did you have a top 2 to the week?
Top 2 of the week would be Plastique.
Plastique Tiara. And your bottom 2? Your boot.
My boot would be Silky.
Oh, okay. Silky. All right. Very good. My top 2 would be Brooklyn Heights. And my boot would have been Evie Oddly, according to the numbers.
Okay.
All right. Very good. And that
is the looks.
Is the looks. All right. Very good. Now you find my script again. There were papers all over the place. Like a fucking goddamn. All right. Here we go. Back on the main stage, RuPaul announced that Team Acaria had won the challenge, while Acaria C. Davenport, the team leader, was the individual winner of the challenge. This left Team Plastique up for elimination. After the judges' critiques, RuPaul asked the girls who should go home. Everyone said Scarlett, except for Scarlett, who, when forced to choose someone, said Raja O'Hara. After the judges deliberated, Raja and Scarlett were forced to go head-to-head in a lip-sync battle for their lives. The song... Mm-hmm. Last Dance by Donna Summer. After a fierce battle for survival by both contestants, RuPaul told Raja, "Shantae, you stay," while Scarlett was asked to sashay away. Taylor, any final thoughts on the episode?
Well, I have many things to talk about. There's still a ton of shit to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay. The moment the song started, I might have yelled.
Did you get my text before or after it happened?
After it started.
Okay.
After it started. And I laughed as soon as, because it started, and then within about 20 seconds, I got the text message saying from Joe saying, "I can hear you screaming here in California." Anybody who listens to the live show, the live recording of this, there have been numerous times that I have made Joe play Last Dance as the song prior to it starting, because it is just, I adore that song. Top 10 favorite songs of all time is Last Dance. Mm-hmm. I didn't feel as though Scarlett should have gone home for that. Mm-hmm. Because, one, Raja's been in the bottom more often at this point. So really, at this point, she's got more points against her. I know they were both in on the 6-way lip sync, but Raja had at least one more, possibly two. Mm-hmm. I don't remember how many times Raja's been in the bottom so far. That song, Scarlett said that she was not a really good dancer, and that showed. However, Scarlett seemed to dance with a level of joy that was much more enjoyable to watch, whereas it felt like Raja was much more controlled. Mm-hmm. And that is a song about being your last blowout of the night, last running around and just being silly and just enjoying yourself. And I feel as though Scarlett captured the essence of the song more than Raja did. Raja seems to make better television, so I get why RuPaul kept her. But I think if you were going on, one, what Travis said, that she was the most improved of them, that, and the fact that just the way that she did everything she did. The only thing that I could see that possibly could have slipped her up was it felt like it was taking too long for her to cut through that dress with the scissors. I would have loved it to have been something where she had a dress that could have had a tear away rather than a rip away with the scissors. I think that would have helped her a little bit more, because it felt like the first couple of seconds when the song got faster, she was kind of like, you had that panic of, is she going to get out of the dress fast enough and be in the pantsuit? But I will go to the grave saying that Raja should have gone home last night, or at the very least, it should have been a double save. Mm-hmm. Raja was good, but Scarlett had the essence of the song more, right down to the whole weird, like 70s cocaine glitter coming out of her top at the one point. And Ru seemed to really enjoy that. And I this, not for execution, but if we were ever to do a top 10 lip sync for your life thing again, if we were to redo it,
everyone should know that Taylor's talking about on Patreon around in the fall. Taylor and Evan listed their top 10 lip syncs of all time, favorite of all time, and I did a list of songs that should have been lip syncs, and this was number 2, actually.
Yeah, this was number 2. I could see this song. This would be one that I'd have to think about some of my lower in my top 10 list, this possibly moving up because of Scarlett's performance in this. I was really, really bummed when she said Raja O'Hara, Sasha. I thought for a second, because it seemed like she went to Scarlett really fast, and I thought, she's going to save her too for that. So when she let her go, it was a little upsetting. It also kind of bothers me, though, as much as I love this song, that it feels like I would have much rather a song that is so important in gay dance history as Last Dance is. That is a song that you save for a finale. That is a song that you save for the final 2 queens in a season. What I would have loved for them to do is, how amazing would that be if Last Dance were ever the last song on the last season of Drag Race? What a way to go. What a way to potentially go out.
What's weird is that they cut it up too, because the song's not very long. The song's like 2 something.
No, the original version of the song is like 7-8 minutes long.
Oh, really? The edit I have is like just on like 2:35 or something like that.
No, it can be. Well, there's various, sort of like the No More Tears The Enough is Enough with that you have like the one version that's 3 minutes, the one version's 8 minutes. Then you played some like 11-minute version one time of it. So it's very, but the version that I have I have a couple versions of Last Dance, but the one that I like the most, the one that I've almost broken my neck a couple of times in the shower, singing and dancing to it while I'm getting ready, is about a 5 minutes version of the song.
What did you think about the moment when the RuPaul asked everyone who they should send home, and everyone said Scarlett, and then Scarlett said Raja, and then Raja was really pissed?
That was not smart on Raja's part to get as pissed as she was in Untucked. I think that taking that personally, they all know they're going to be asked that question. And I think to take something like that personally that had the potential to really go to the villain edit. And I feel like at this point, Raja's kind of skating that fine line, you know, of the whole, you know, an ugly girl can't talk to a pretty girl that way. And she smells and all the things that she said about Evie and things that she said about other contestants to go over, especially the comment of an ugly girl can't say that to a pretty girl. Well, a pretty girl pretty much said, you should go home. Scarlett is, you know, Scarlett has weird eyebrows, but Scarlett makes for a pretty queen. So for her to say, I wonder if that'll come back and bite her in the ass at some point. But I'm almost wondering if where we thought Evie was going to be the villain, if now we're starting to see that Raja may become kind of the villain of the season.
Interesting. Now, I had to step away for like a hot minute on Untucked. And when I came back, Silky was really upset having to do something. So this is what I've gathered. Ariel left wigs. You know, Ariel and her boyfriend own a wig company. And Ariel left wigs on each queen station. I didn't get this part. And then something about there were more wigs somewhere, and Plastique, someone took them, maybe Silky, and then Plastique was mad and told people behind Silky's back and fight. So can you explain any more than that?
That's pretty much what it was, where Silky said that various queens told her that Plastique said, that's okay, let her have the wigs, she clearly needs them. And Silky had a problem with that because she felt the need to say that behind her back. Silky handled herself really well. I will say this for Silky. For somebody who could have gone from 0 to 80 in 3 seconds, I felt as though the fight in Untucked when Plastique, when she confronted Plastique, she held her own. And I appreciated that a little bit because Plastique had the deer in the headlights look of she did not know what to say or how to say it and looked completely terrified of how this was going to look. I don't get why something like that wouldn't have happened on camera, or they wouldn't have had some sort of reference to it prior to the Untucked thing. It was just sort of this weird, so apparently she said this thing to some people, you know, but it's my area too, and I don't understand why she said that. It was. I kept waiting to see like Untucked exclusive, and then some scene that we hadn't seen before about the wigs. But that might be because it's Plastique, and they don't want Plastique to come off as bitchy. Maybe there is camera footage, and they just decided not to show it. Yeah, I don't know. I also find it interesting that Silky said 3 different people told me, and never referenced who the 3 people were.
Well, she didn't want to throw them under the bus.
Yeah, but you would have thought at some point.
Yeah.
You know.
Also, I want everyone... And do you have any final thoughts about the episode?
Well, like I said, I thought it was a fun episode. It was a very full episode. Will it go down as one of the best episodes of this series? No. But I was engaged the entire time. I found there have been a couple of episodes of the season where I find myself looking at my phone more and more, which is something I've never done, especially, you know, for a show that I do a podcast about. This was one where I looked at my phone maybe twice, and that was during commercial breaks, which, by the way, let's talk about this for a second. And I know this doesn't make this up for evergreen, but people who are watching it now will appreciate this. There's something about the dance they do in the Truvada commercial.
I don't watch the commercials. Explain what happened.
Okay, well, it's a commercial for Truvada, and they're talking about using it for PrEP, which is really important. And I'm not suggesting that PrEP isn't good, but there's something about where it's these different people saying, "I'm on the pill, I'm on the pill, I'm on the pill," and there's this guy that's a dancer that is dancing with where he's in a dance studio and he's dancing with 3 other people, and they're doing this dance to this like smooth jazz music that's playing in the background that is just this ridiculous basic. there's something about it that's super annoying. And one of the guys in it is that I think is like the choreographer, because he's standing in front of the rest of them, is Asian, but he has a very thick beard. So my husband and I at one point got in an argument last night whether the Asian choreographer is biracial or not. Like a full on 2 minute having a discussion about this stupid commercial. Mm-hmm. But there's something about the dance that I really don't like, and it bothers me. And I don't like the commercial, and it's whatever. And the weird, so you missed all the stuff, the commercials for Little with Ross. No,
I did see that. Well, I heard it in the background, and I was like, this is so stupid.
Yeah, it was because there was one that was the entire commercial break.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden the show came back. We're like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah,
but
I was like, this is so dumb. Anyway,
okay,
all right. Well, I'll leave you with this. Oh wait, sorry.
An ugly girl can never come for a pretty girl.
When you were talking, I realized, I have that clip. I should have just played that. Okay, well, Taylor, that's going to conclude this week's episode of RuPaul's Drag Race Recap. Be sure to join us next week and every week as we continue to discuss, dissect, and deconstruct each brand new episode of RuPaul's Drag Race. So, for Taylor the Latte Boy and myself,
sashay away until next week.
Want to share your thoughts about Drag Race? Email us at dragracerecap@gmail.com. For up-to-the-minute news about the show, follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Drag Race Recap. You can also follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Drag Race Recap. For bonus content and to support the show, head over to patreon.com/Drag Race Recap. Taylor has his own podcast. It's called Pod Is My Co-Pilot, and you can find it at podismycopilot.com or wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow Taylor on Twitter and Instagram at PIMCTaylor. Follow Joe Betance on Instagram and Twitter at Joe Betance. That's BETANCE. The outro music was written by Lucian Piani and arranged and performed by Alex Lefebvre. You can find Alex Lefebvre on Instagram at Alex Lefebvre Music. To find all of our old episodes, visit our website at dragracerecap.com. You can also find other Afterthought Media shows like Hello Uglies at hellouglies.com and Catching Up at catchinguppodcast.com. Drag Race Recap is an Afterthought Media production.